Mr. Ray, I would
Yeah.
like to start from you. Your submission summed up the safety aspects of access equipment. My question to you is that what are some of the key performance indicators or metrics that can be used to assess the safety and effectiveness of these equipment?
See, quite a good question, Megha. See, I would like to take a lead of what Nitin had said. See, over the years, the technology is changing. Okay, it is changing drastically, I would say. What we used to manufacture, say, a decade back, we don't do it now. The concept is totally changing. So, as more and more new technology comes in, we have to keep in mind as manufacturer, we design products that and bring in features that are user friendly. They can, and also in terms of maintenance uh, of the equipment, it becomes easier. So both to operate as well as to maintain. So when we talk about the metrics, uh, the indicator says there is a industry, we follow certain safety standards, right? That is CE and 280, which has parameters already set in. Same with ANSI 92.5. There are parameters which are set in. And as manufacturers, we have to adhere to that. Okay, we have to adhere to it. So if a machine is getting overloaded, then the cutoff system has to kick in at that point of time. It cannot be overridden. There was a time under ANSI that could be overridden. In CE standard, that cannot be overridden. Okay, now we both ANSI and CE standard, the American and NC standard, and the CE standards are on the same page now. So in terms of the parameters which are set in for each and every machine, be it the tilt, be it the load, be it the emergency lowering, these are followed very strictly across the industry. And manufacturers who have been over the years, who are not just new into the bandwagon, because suddenly we find there's a huge bandwagon of manufacturers who have come in the AWP field, feeling that this is one product we should all be in. We see it from China, we see it from other places, but they have been traditional manufacturers from America, from Europe, who've been doing that. So safety is something which becomes prime to us, and we, as when we introduce a product, we have to keep a tab of whatever we are introducing that needs to adhere to the best in the world. I mean, in terms of safety features, because end of the day, it's life you are taking up. I mean, people working at height. So we as manufacturers, we become responsible that there are no accident, whilst ensuring that the maximum productivity can be given. Okay, and the least amount of downtime can be given. So all these features which you see in terms of safety, in terms of facilitation, which even reduces the time of attending the machine, or if there's a breakdown, or correcting the breakdown, every parameter is very important. So, and end of the day, the customer who owns the machine should get the best value out of it. So that is what I would like to put it across in a broader perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Of course, productivity, safety, and efficiency. All these aspects are very important while operation.
Yeah.
Mr. Savlani, what is your observation about it?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Same as Soma said, like I already mentioned, like we always work on the safety features. Like if you're moving to, it's again a life. Yes, working on heights, it's really tricky. It's also not safe. Of course, thanks to the access equipment manufacturer that they have replaced the scaffoldings. That was a major impact earlier. But now, if I talk about the only access equipment, there must be some loaded with all the safety features. Like, of course, the load cells must be properly checked and installed. And of course, people are coming up with the new functions. Like, for example, if your AWP gets breakdown, there's no fuel, then it can automatically come down slightly lower than, so that everything stands safe and still. So I will always suggest, because it's a very critical equipment, whether it works inside or outside the construction site. but in the end, life matters, and the responsibility is owned by the manufacturer. So they definitely work closer, and lots of companies are really working hard to introduce new and new features every day, which is beneficial for end users like us. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Savlani. Of course, collaborative efforts and collaborative responsibilities
Yeah.
would lead us to achieve all these aspects.
Yes.
Mr. Gokhale, how do you look at it from a rental and buying perspective? And what do you think are the difficulties in maintaining them?
See, any amount of technology what you bring in for safety is not enough. See, finally, as everyone is saying, accepting that human life is the most important part, what you're dealing with, correct? But if you see the economical impact of this, and I can easily say that a lot of rental companies don't understand the importance of this safety things. Like very as a simple thing, like the manual, what is called the descent. Suppose if the engine breaks down of a diesel machine, there is a system wherein you can put an auxiliary motor. There's already auxiliary motor there, battery driven, which can bring you down to the safest point, so that the person can get down. But even so many people don't understand that is a safety device and that should be working. But just like having a fire extinguisher in your buildings, and you only test it once, and see the building which I stay in, we have installed it fire extinguisher system, the entire, all the hose pipes, the pumps, everything. I never know it works or not. So this lethargy is creeping everywhere, which actually unfortunate, but it is true right now. Only part is the manufacturer should be, what you call bombarding this and arranging training programs or webinars or like some seminars, to make people aware. It is not that they don't want it; they are purely unaware, and the ignorance is bliss. They don't know the importance of this. This auto descent is just one thing. Other thing also, like the envelope protection is there. Like Souma said that suppose if the operator is backing on something and rising, he doesn't know what is on his back, and then he falls down on the joystick itself, and then he keeps on going up. That is called entrapment. So that feature, what they called is, I don't know, there's some feature of Souma that told me that it suddenly stops. The operator cannot take the boom up if something hits for that levels. So these are systems are required to be shown to people. And suppose if existing machine not having, at least for the future machines, they can ask for these, what you call the features, the safety. And operators should be aware of these safety features, so as the owners also, because a lot of owners are there who are not aware of this. And it should be awareness drive taken by the manufacturers. So I put the onus on the manufacturer, not on the users, because they will follow what they're given. Right. So seatbelt now, earlier Maruti did not have a seatbelt also. The first Maruti I bought, the seatbelt was an optional thing. Can you imagine that? But now everyone, now we have Gadkari has said that, the back riders also have to have seatbelts. Okay. So these slowly people are made aware of that because people see the accidents happening. But if we learn by other people's mistake, I think the manufacturer should be taking more responsibility on creating awareness of all the safety features that are must. The ANSI standard and CE standard, no one knows what the standards are. Okay. If the rental companies, if the crane, the manlift users, press upon, okay, I want a CE machine or an ANSI machine, these standards should be made aware to the users also, because they don't know what the machine is. So it is a tough road ahead, but yes, safety has to be given the utmost importance, but safety comes at a price. So, everything has to be balanced. So that's my take on this.
Just to add, Nitin, what you said, Megha, I just would like to interject. Nitin was talking about the active shield bar or the anti-entrapment system which we have. What we did, and I take cue from what Nitin said, yes, as manufacturers, it is our responsibility to build in the consciousness of safety, right? To organize and to promote the safety features which we have. So like the active shield bar, what we have done, rather than keeping it optional in our booms or the boom lifts, we have made it a standard feature in the higher versions. It's a standard feature. It comes, so anybody who is buying a boom from us has the active shield bar which is fitted on the machine. And we, of course, we lay a lot of stress on the training part. I mean, the commissioning and the training part, wherein the operators and the maintenance people need to be trained on what, like Nitin said, a very, very, very vital point about the emergency descent. honestly, he's right. People don't even care whether that's working or not, but that is such a important feature which needs to be checked that it is working, because if God forbid, I mean, God forbid, anything happens and the machine is stuck up a height, the engine is not working, they should know how to retrieve the people who are on that basket down to the ground. So it is very important. I think awareness is something which is of vital importance to us, and we take it upon us being manufacturers to, instill that in our customers, both in the rentals like fleet. I mean, rental companies are using these machines, but even as so, like Nitin said, for the end users who rent out these machines, or rent in the machines. Thank you.
We when we talk about safety, we still see people using very risky hanging ropes to clean facades of tall buildings. So, is
Yeah,
there any mandate to use access equipment for these works?
I am not aware of any mandate as far as the rope hanging is concerned, but yes, there are safer platforms which are available. See, accessing from bottom is not always the option, right? You can access working at height from the top also. Like Vijay Kumar said that, that construction industry requires a lot of access on the high-rise buildings. So high-rise buildings, if you have a 100-meter building, it is very difficult to have a 100-meter working platform which comes from the bottom. There are available, platforms, but for that, suspended rope platforms which are suspended from the terrace of the building are the actually now people are using it now. Hanging from ropes is normally what I see is only in what you call, suppose if you have a 6-story building and you paint it once in every 10 years, then they do prefer to hang one people on a what they call a jhula and one person holding on the top. That is a very crude method. But then again, we are so cost conscious that we give the safe contract to the painter and okay, tum kar lo jaise karna hai wo. Okay, so that's it. But there are features available. Only thing, the awareness should be there, and the actual person who is doing the painting or the work should demand that it is my life, I will not risk it. But then there are a lot of other issues, economic, the population is so much, kitne aadmi mil jate hain. That is all there. So that is it.
So, how far does the associations and your organization helps in enforcing the safety regulations in construction business?
Well, it's a good question, but enforcing the safety regulation in the construction industry has to come from the top actually.
Yeah.
See, even the users like big users like L&T and all these things, they can take a major part. All the bigger EPC companies like Larsen and Toubro, or maybe for that matter other big companies like builder like Macrotech or whatever, they should take the lead and advertise that okay, they are following these practices, and they should. And one more important thing is the accident data is never compiled. We never know how many accidents take place, right? Which is not there in developed countries like Europe or in the USA. So if government really thinks so, we have some ministry called heavy industries and something like that. If they really take keen efforts on that, we should start compiling the accident data and see what have caused that. Scaffoldings in Pune are, with all these rainy seasons, you see every now and then one scaffolding is blown off. Okay. And people have seen people putting that scaffold, what you call the hoardings and all, they just climb with just a rope tied to their waist. They don't know what a aerial platform is. They don't know how to access that safely. So lack of awareness is a major problem. And then comes the economic restraints on the project cost. Everyone has to finish. And no one wants to, take that onus. The main contractor gives it to a subcontractor. तू कर ले जैसे करना है वो तेरा जिम्मेदारी है ये कॉस्ट में करना है तो वो कॉस्ट में करना है ना that is the main hindrance of adding safety to it. Safety has a cost to it, but everyone should understand it, and this is a a difficult path ahead. We all should be taking equal responsibility for that, not only the manufacturers but also the rental companies and the contractors and the users also. And so if a single death of a person should be taken very seriously, not so lightly, which we are right now taking.
Yeah, I think a lot of good things are also happening. Of course, whatever Nitin talked about the challenges of building maintenance, but I will just immediately share you one photograph. Right. This is a building constructed by L&T. So in fact, still I think it has not come in India. This is the new Indian National Congress headquarters. Right. And this building was constructed by L&T, Larsen and Toubro. And this is a 2 crore machine, what we have supplied and it is commissioned. See, actually, if we're talking about cradle can be used only on the flat facade. If you can, I'm slightly enlarging it, right? Here, if you look at the top, you cannot drop a cradle from here, right? So cradle can be used only when you have a flat facade. So only thing what I want to add, yes, a lot needs to be done, but yes, something is being done. Our direction and orientation of the country is in the right direction. Thank you.
Mr. Singh and Mr. Gokhale. Mr. Singh, coming to you. How are the advancements in AWP tech platforms and the technology are revolutionizing the work at height while improving the operational efficiency?
I think as far as advancement is concerned, I think both points were covered by Sagar and Soma, where he elaborated about the safety features. And one thing what Sagar talked about, the hybrid machines, battery operated, yes, that is where we have to reach. When we are going to reach, what is the cost it is coming? Because even a Tata Nexon, the EV is almost, I think, 4 lakh more expensive than that, right? Yeah. So these all are the advancement. What was your second part of the question? Can you just?
The second part of the question was working at heights and improving the operational efficiency through these advanced technologies.
Yeah. I mean, first take, as I talked, if you take a specifically example of building construction, right? Actually, if you really look at 8-hour shift, if it is working at height, people just work for 2 hours. Number one. Number two, whenever you are using a ladder, even if it's at home, at least you need 2 persons, means one helper will be there. So if you really look at the cost saving only because of the manpower, that is the first type of saving. Second is you are speeding up, you are reducing the project completion period. Third is there are lesser damages, there are no accident. So if you quantify all those things, it comes in a huge number. I have some study done on this, not by me, but I have that case study document for how much it really translates into. So my point is that as our country is also growing, there are buildings in the building around 40 to 50 such small machines are working. Right. So that is the point. So it has all the benefits. It's a cost effective. It speeds up your project's completion period. It is safe, convenient, and see another point, technical point I wanted to make. On a platform, you have 3-point contact. See, normally for a person to stand, there are 4 contacts: 2 legs and 2 hands, right? Whenever you come on 2 points, you get unstable, right? You will never fall when you are on 3 points. So actually with a ladder or a scaffold, you have only 2-point contacts, right? That is the point, it is safer. So it has all benefits.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, for addressing that. Mr. Ray, how are these technologies adding efficiency for the operators while they are working on toll projects on site?
See, Megha, we have been incorporating, like I mentioned before, technologies which makes working easier. Okay, working easier for the operator because it's the person who is going up. He needs to work faster. He needs to work better. So we have brought. I mean, it's a very basic thing like proportional control. So if somebody has to inch closer to the workspace, it cannot go with a jerk, right? You have proportional controls so that he can edge it out. We have a new model in our 16-meter electric, which we call a Sigma 16 model. Now, there we have a a complete vertical rise. So if against a wall, our boom is standing like this and it has to work, it is a straight vertical rise. So the machine need not go forward and backward to adjust the height. If it is coming from top to bottom or bottom to the machine is positioned in the same range and it can go up and down. Okay. Now that is because what we have done, we have changed the design of our arms, the architecture of our arms. So instead of having lateral arms, we have arms which are on top of each other. So it makes two things. One is it enhances the feeling of safety, because for an operator, imagine at working at that height, what he may be experienced, but end of the day, there is also a fear element, right? If the basket is shaking or there's a flexing, then there's a lot of fear and he will not be able to concentrate on the job, right? So that takes care of it. Secondly, we have brought in features in which we have articulating jib, which can go around, I mean, about 90 degrees. So around the building also you can work. So what happens is, building in features which enhances the feeling of safety in the operator, that look, I'm on this machine and I know I'm safe, I can do my work safely. So the safety part is removed from his mind. Secondly, he also has a time frame to do the work, because the organization has the product, has to complete the project in a particular time. So if his safety concern is met, obviously he will be working much more, productively. So all these points put together, and this is something which we have been building up in our machines. We have been taking voices of our customers. We have been learning from our customers. And whenever we design any new machine, we actually go back and take the feedback of various rental companies across the world to build in those features, that what would you like, what would you help? And we go and talk to operators. We go and talk to people who are in the maintenance or technical side. And putting everything together is what, when we churn out a machine, there's a lot of back-end work which goes on with it. So this is what I would like to submit.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Mr. Gokhale, Mr. Vijay just shared a picture, image of accessing maintenance at heights.
Yeah.
So how are we addressing the challenges while accessing the difficult to reach areas in construction and maintenance activities in tall buildings and critical design, critically built structures?
So the most important challenge in tall buildings is accessing the exterior part of it. Okay. For the interior part, we already have small compact scissor lifts, of 6 meters, what normally we call working at low access machines. So a lot of machines which can go in the elevator, go on any floor. So internal part is taken care of. There's certain machines which we are specifically built for doing the false ceilings and all these things. The challenge is with the exteriors being so, the elevations, the arcades have some crazy elevations and all. So they also require a lot of, innovative applications for going for providing access to that locations. So there are certain special machines, not only aerial platforms, there are, some single mast climbers, double mast climbers, which can go up to a height of 300 meters for that matter, and even follow the curve of the building. So they are available, but again, it comes with a huge cost. There are certain projects which we have seen these mast climbers being used to a very great extent. They have big capacities, like maybe up to a ton, 1 ton, not 230 or 400 kgs, 1,000 kilos capacity is there. So these can climbers are a beautiful application. They can follow anything, they can have extension, they can go into a crevice, they can fit on the corner of the machine. But as you said, there's the cost part is there. So if access machines are available for almost all the applications, provided the project supports it cost-wise. That's it.
Hi. Thank you, Mr. Gokhale.
Yeah.
Mr. Singh, would you like to add anything?
I think mast climber, but he has suggested that is certainly a very good option, because mast climber, as he told, that it has a lifting capacity of a ton or maybe even more. So 4 or 5 people, can stand, they can do that plastering, painting. So that is how it is done. I mean, see, whatever applications we have in India, that is there in other countries as well, and they are doing it. They cannot do it without that. And most important, everybody will agree, because there is no legislation in India for working at heights. Why other companies? Uh, why other companies across the world invest? There is such a strong legislation. If somebody falls and dies, maybe that company might be closed with the penalty what they are going to impose. So yes.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Mr. Savlani, my comment to you. Sustainability is just yet another focus when we talk about construction and infrastructure. So how are aerial work platforms contributing to these practices, and which specific practices are followed by the equipment owners and contractors?
Yeah, Megha, nice question. And of course, like as a topic suggest of sustainability, it all depends on the, again, we were discussing in past, like Mr. Singh also said, and Mr. Nitin also said that it depends on from the top approach, like which country is following which norms. For example, if like in Delhi, I will again come to the automobile sector. Now there's a rule that beyond 10 years, you cannot use a diesel vehicle automobile. So there's a rule, and people are now choosing towards electric, or maybe the fuel which can be acceptable like petrol in automobile. So right now there's no legislation, no rules for the AWP, as the awareness is not much there. People are still using scaffolding. Again, the invention is always done when there's a demand or need. So for example, if I talk about the other countries like European or US, there are strict rules and regulations that you cannot use scaffolding beyond certain heights, but it is not applicable in India. People are using scaffolding even for 40 meters, 50 meters, there are no rules. And even if there are rules, people, even the big companies doesn't follow to save the cost. So again, saying that if there are strict rules, definitely the penalty or imposition can be there, and people can switch to a sustainable solution. I have one data, if I'm allowed to show, like how diesel and electrical vehicle contribute to the CO2 emissions. Can I show something like? Yeah, it is just one of the equipment which we promote in India. It is, I don't want to talk much about that because of the company specific. It's basically a UK manufacturer making all the electrical boom lifts called Nifty Lift. So they have given a comparison, like for example, if it's 100% electrical machine, one is electrical, one is hybrid, because they do not make complete diesel machine. So there's zero, if you can see, like there's a zero emission in one shift. For example, if there's one duty cycle, then there's zero emission. If I talk about the bioenergy or the hybrid, there's like 290.4 grams of emission. Now imagine these machines have a life of 15 to 20 years at least. They runs for that time. In 15 to 20 years, even if I consider like out of 365 days, these machines are running for average 250 days. So imagine the environment which is polluting. We are not, of course, automobile is a different sector because it is a mass. There are so many automobiles in the country. But slowly and slowly, when the people are accepting against the scaffolding, these will also increase. Right now, there are maybe 14,000. It will become more than 2 lakh, 3 lakh in coming years, the AWP in India itself. And at that point of time, this will also contribute to the global warming. Of course, this is contributing right now also, but this is not a subject to focus by the government. But slowly and slowly, when it will increase, definitely people will be more aware. Like manufacturer already making these guys aware, like how you need to control the emissions. Even if you're using the, for example, if I not talk about the diesel manufacturer, also they're also improving their engines, like how to improve the efficiency, how to have the less pollution. So everyone is improving. It's not only electrical, but even the diesel manufacturers, which is the need of the hour. See, everywhere you cannot go electric. There are some constraints also. So every technology has some pros and cons. So diesel being the more powerful, of course, somewhere you have to use diesel also. So how people can make more sustainable, like they can make some engines, which is less polluting, are more efficient, which can give a more run power, more shift, less consumption of the diesel. So this is how everyone manufacture, the rental companies, even the end user and the people like you who are spreading the awareness right now. It's a right platform to spread the good awareness. So we all have to contribute for this cause. And if it's sustainable for longer years, definitely our coming generation will take a fresh breath. Otherwise, we have already seen how the country is depleting, like weathers are changing. Delhi is already polluted so much because of the pollution. Every city is getting polluted, all the metro cities. So because like how you can contribute, because we are into the sector, we can contribute through this sector. Someone is in another sector, he's contributing from his perspective. So from the perspective of access equipment, of course, if we can reduce the carbon emissions, it will be great help for the future generations. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Savlani. We need to focus on increasing the awareness to boost sustainability in access equipment performance and in their operational maintenance. Delegates and panelists, we are almost at the end of today's discussion. Mr. Ray, may I please request you to make a closing statement for the day?
Thank you, Megha and Jinal, of course, for organizing such an interesting session. Of course, my fellow panelist, Nitin, whom I have known for over a decade, Vijay, with whom we work on a daily basis, and Sagar, Renties being one of a very important client to us. Our objective, like Nitin has said, our biggest challenge is we don't have any legislation for working in height. If that was there, then this industry would have grown by leaps and bounds. And this cannot be just achieved by just the manufacturers going and talking to the government. We have to go collectively, hand in hand, and that is how the awareness being spread. And unless and until the legislation comes in, we are unable to achieve the growth which we expect. Certainly, I mean, I would like to thank B2B Purchase for organizing such a discussion, which at least allows people to hear our perspective and what we wish to say. People over here with their experience, lots and lots of experience, and it really gives them, a platform to share our ideas. And yeah, a big thanks to you guys for that, and we look forward to such sessions together. Gives us chance to meet each other also. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Ray. It's now time to close our today's session. Gina, can you please go ahead with the closing?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
With this, we have reached the end of today's session. We thank our panelists for exchanging their valuable thoughts on today's topic, selection of access equipment from cost effectiveness to performance excellence. We hope you enjoyed it. B2B Purchase is available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also download our app from the Google Play or the App Store. We also request our viewers to stay tuned for future interactions. With that, today's interaction has now concluded. Thank you and goodbye.